Hey guys, we're back with another video, and today I got Ezra from Legacy with me as well. And we're going to be doing a card reveal or conversation about what's going on with the Thanedd Coup expansion. Now, I actually put together a video with Ezra and Evades regarding the price of Pyre, and we had the whole thing recorded and complete, but I actually forgot to hit the record button. So we didn't want to go ahead and redo the whole thing, but here we are with expansion 2, and we'll make sure we get it right this time. So, lots of new cards coming out, and we're going to start with Northern Realms first. Do you want to take it off here, Ez, or?
Sure. So we got the new legendary, the new Mama Mage, right? Tisea Debris. Um, I believe she was in the show, right? Kind of want to say she was. I think she was the one who was actually in charge of transforming Yennefer from
So I'll
her.
be honest with you, I haven't looked at any of these cards in full, so this will be like my first time looking at it, so all my ideas are kind of, original from the
Out
get-go.
there.
Like, I haven't referenced anybody else, I didn't watch any of the card reveals, just been busy with other stuff, so what do you think about this card? Deploy at the end of turn, reset the order of all allied mages that use their order during this turn.
I mean, looks great on paper. She's 6 body for 12 provisions. It just depends on like when you want to play this card. It's kind of setting it up for you to take advantage of that patience mechanic. A lot of these cards are going to have patience now with the mages, especially with the Banard students. And then you got Gerhard. Um, yeah, I mean
So,
it's just like a win more card basically because you're going to want to be able to use all your patience cards for them for the highest payoff, and then have her reset everything again.
I find that this card sort of fills the gap that the mage archetype's trying to fill with siege, right? Now we can go either full siege or we can go full mages, if that makes sense. Because,
Exactly.
yeah, like this would be kind of your finisher. Because what intrigues me here is the deploy at the end of this turn. So I'm assuming that this is more like you just put the card down when you pass, then all the orders are reset, right? So you don't have to keep this one alive. Now, does it work the second turn or is it just the first turn?
I mean, if it's deployed, then it's only going to be on that actual turn because it's saying at the end of this turn. So you're
Ah,
basically
yeah, that
wanting
makes sense.
to activate all your patience abilities prior to this card being activated, so that way you can use them again.
So this
So I mean,
involves
she could
something I
she
don't have patience. It's going to be tough for me to
exactly.
execute this.
It's like I said, it's a win more card. If you have Gerhard ticking, if you have the Banard students ticking, and then you have I don't know, oh, for example, there are two students. Whenever we get to that. Like all if basically if you're having all your stuff ticking for with their patients, then she's allowing you to use all these abilities and then reset them instantly again. I mean, she could technically play for 20, 30 points. You just have to set all your patience cards up to get the highest benefit from them.
And there's nothing you can do about it. That actually kind of concerns me a little bit, though. I've noticed
Yeah,
that
because I mean,
the game's heading in a
she
direction where everything's just becoming stronger. So I'd like to see how this kind of plays against some of the other factions as we look at them. Maybe they got big buffs too, so it's an even playing field. But
yeah,
certainly it looks great on paper. And let's see what else
yeah.
we got going on here. So the practice makes perfect. You're able to shuffle an allied bronze mage into your deck and play a random bronze mage from your deck. Boost the unit you played by 0, increase the boost by 1 for each patience you played this game. Okay, so that's like something you're going to be playing later on, right? Did you kind of maybe think of a way that you could put this card into the game, or?
I mean, I don't know if it's something you're definitely gonna like. Okay, so you're wanting to shuffle one of your patience mages back, right? It's either going to be an R2 as a student or it's going to be a Banard student, correct?
Yeah, it
But
would
the
be
catch
something of that sort.
is, you're playing another random bronze mage from your deck, so you're putting something of value
Back.
away, and then we're back, and then pulling something of no value.
And how long is the
Um,
round really? You know what I mean?
exactly.
Like,
Like, I mean, so let's just say if you kick a 7 patience Banard student back, you're only getting a 4 point Banard student from deck, and then it's getting a boost. It's not really that good because you want its patience ability, not the boost. But I don't know. I don't know
100%.
about this card. I feel like this card is just meh. I mean,
The only
I
way
feel
that I
like
could
you
really see
would.
this being valuable is, okay, like, let's say you take something out and you're trying to bleed on round two. I mean, this in its own is a very slow tempo play. So let's say you had a big bleed round two, you bled down to 2, 3 cards, you put something back in your deck that you wanted to use in round three. I just don't see it as much. Because there's so much better options, like with Shani, for example, just to bring it back all together, right?
Exactly. Yeah. Like, I mean, and like I say, it's kind of also anti-synergistic with Tisea as well, because you're wanting to use the order abilities for their highest value. You don't want to kind of just kick your highest value back, and then pull out a 0 point card basically, or not a 0 point card, but its base value card essentially, and just get a boost. It's kind of not worth it.
I mean, first impressions of this card right now, there's so many better cards for 4 provisions with Northern Realms. I mean, it just doesn't really make
Exactly.
sense for me to put this in a deck, let alone two of them. So we'll have to see how it pans out. I mean, I'm sure someone's going to have an idea with it, but right now I'm not thinking that's really a card that I'm interested in playing. Of course, I'll craft it, but probably just leave it at that. We have
I mean, I think
Leticia.
the secondary ability on it is probably the only good thing about it, because it says increase the boost by 1 for each unit with patience you played this game. I mean, so technically you have it could be like 8 for 4, 9 for 4 in terms of the boost, because there's two Artusa students, two Banard students, Gerhard, Istrid, um, you know, like
Yeah,
that's
the
about all I can
only
say.
thing though is like, would you rather play something like this or just take a Marine for the instant points? You know what I mean? Something
Exactly,
that
yeah.
we don't have to set up and tee up perfectly, right? There's a lot of other things that we have to worry about with the whole patience archetype, like, um, just keeping things out there long enough for them to work, right? When it comes to the orders, we don't want them to get locked, all types of different things, right? So having something to just kind of stack towards is it's a little scary. I mean, I would consider building something to run one of them just for the second ability, but the first one I don't really see it being all that great.
Yeah, I mean, it's basically saying, okay, hey, we're gonna give you this amount of boost for however much patience you played, but you're also getting somewhat in the form of carryover because it's all the patience units you played this game.
Yeah.
So like you could even technically do like teleportation to reset a patience unit or casting contest or whatever. I would think teleportation because then it counts as a second play.
Yeah, that
I could
makes
see
sense.
that.
Teleportation counts as the second play. Um, I mean, that involves breaking the devotion, right?
Yeah, but I mean, I don't think you're not going to really want to run too much devotion, especially since we've seen the Spellweaver's list running a Darren. So
That is true.
I could see, yeah, I don't think you would really care for devotion in this list.
Yeah, we'll see how the rest of the cards sort of support it and whatnot. We have Leticia Charbeno. So this one has patience, of course. Order on ranged. At the end of the turn, patience value of the unit of allied unit is increased by 1 instead. Okay,
That's
so that's huge
really
if it
nice.
sticks. Here's the problem though. Like, I do like the 6 point body for 7 provisions, and it has a ridiculous effect. It's just the fact that it is sort of within removal reach, right?
Yeah, especially with Horson Jr. still running around. We now have the drones set up as well. Parasite, you know, you got the hyper thin.
Well,
Uh,
just with the amount of siege going on,
well, yeah, that too.
with
Like,
even
there's so
more
many ways to kill
support,
a 6 point body.
with more support going to the Northern Realms, structure what they got going on with the mages. I just imagine there being a lot of mirror matches, and this is kind of one of those cards that, like, on the ladder, if you're trying to tech for the mirror match, yeah, it might not be the best use of provisions because we know it's going to get killed, right?
Yeah. I mean, it doesn't take much. It takes one ping from a reinforced ballista and a boiling oil.
Exactly.
And it's gone.
Yeah, so again, if it works, it's great. If it doesn't work, well then, it's one of those things. But I do know that Northern Realms probably has my favorite defender of all factions. So, that's probably something we'll see come back for sure. And Visigoth is a mage, right?
Yes.
Starting to see something working here. I mean, it doesn't have patience, but it could certainly help support things and keep them living. So that's interesting. We'll keep an eye on this one because it might actually be busted. But it might actually just be bad. It's like one of the two, you know what I mean? We'll have to see once it starts being played. Now, R2's a student.
Actually, Visigoth is not a mage. He's a human.
He's a human.
Mage.
Oh, you checked, okay. So, yeah, maybe not so much support from that, but there's tons of other mages that are going to be boosting, right? We have the R2 as a student, human mage. Patience, order on range, boost an allied unit by 1. Or sorry, by 0. So it's going to increase every time, basically, we wait a turn. That could be pretty nice. It's sort of like the opposite of the other mage that we had going around, where it's gaining that damage by 1 each turn, right?
Yeah, and like I said, there's a lot of controversy surrounding this card. For mainly 3 reasons. It's technically the worst, or a more worse version than Vanard Student. Its card art is not something that we're used to seeing with Gwent. People are comparing it to like a Disney Pixar cartoon. Something like straight out of Frozen.
I could see like a little bit of a different trend with the art, so far within these 4 cards than I've seen with some of the other ones, but I see what you're getting at there. This card I don't like as much as the ban art because it's boosting, and I like to play more of a control style of play. So when I see the boost, it kind of concerns me a little bit because with everything being patience on range row, with all these cards being 4 base power, I'm thinking there's going to be like return of Madoc, to the fullest extent, and we're going to have lots of Yurden and stuff going around, and just a lot of big techs for this type of playstyle, especially when they're stacking the row, right?
Exactly. I was like, it's really like, hey, a lot. We're trying to give you these synergies that will work together. You guys have always said you wanted mage support. We're giving it to you, but there's only so much you can do that can help out. But I just personally, in my opinion, these R2 students are just way too slow. You're obviously going to want damage over boost anyway.
Yeah, just with so many different engines, you're always putting down an engine, and when you're always putting down an engine, it takes a long time for them to be worth what they cost, right?
Exactly. And like another thing too that's also a little skeptical with this is that you can't really play Shawnee with this list. If you try to run both of them, both the Banard student and the R2's student, just because Banard would be, or you would put Shawnee on the melee row, which will technically pull out the Banard student, but then how do you like you would have to commit like a siege ladder to put Shawnee to range to pull this out.
Yeah, and that's when I think you have to choose, right? Are we going to be playing more of a control style, or are we going to be playing more of a boost everything style of play, right? And that's just like maybe one of those cards that's interchangeable.
Exactly. Like I just don't see running both of the students in
yeah,
in a mage list. I think you just run one or the other.
100%. And I'm always probably going to be picking the other one. Again, this kind of concerns me. Whether it gets removed right here, or it boosts another 4x1 if you play it really quickly, and then that just puts it in like a 5-point removal range. Like, it takes a long time for this to not look scary, right? I'd say it has to have at least patience of 3 to get its value, or to get a good value in provisions. And again, that's going to take some time to get it, because even if you put this card down for 4, someone will waste a 5-point removal to get rid of it because it does get a good return. So again, it's a scary one, and we'll just have to see if that's being played. Be curious to see how people bring this out. Maybe we see the whole portal thing coming around and stuff like that, but I don't know. It's hard to say because even that in itself is pretty expensive. Let's see what Nilfgaard has to offer. Now, I gotta say, I find Nilfgaard.
I'm excited for Nilfgaard.
Nilfgaard lately has been just unbelievable. They're giving support to a lot of the archetypes that I don't really like, that make the game a little bit stale, and maybe you guys can argue a little bit on that in the comments. But what I mean is, I was never a fan of the mill, and I was never a fan of the hyper thin. They got a tremendous amount of support. Ball is sort of left behind, and that's fine. But hopefully we see a bit of changes here. I'm a really big fan of the assimilate type of play. Soldiers is kind of interesting, but we'll keep it mainly to assimilate. And, I'd like to see more of that sort of roll into the game. So we have our Toad Terra Nova. So human mage assimilate. Okay.
One of the most cards, or one of the cards I am most excited to play.
Is this card?
The expansion drop, yes. I mean, It just looks like it's gonna be good.
So assimilate. On deploy, spawn and play a copy of any non-disloyal unit you gave spine to during this game, excluding self.
Yeah.
Any non-disloyal unit you gave spying to. So this means if I tag, let's say they're Gezras, I can play it, and it just spawns it.
Yep.
So it's basically an engine that spawns a copy of another card, which procs assimilate on everything.
Yep.
One more time, and then actually gets the ongoing effect of it. Okay, so this is really good. The only time that this wouldn't be good is if you're using it to spawn something with a low base power or something that's not an active engine, right? If you're left with just a 5 or 6 point card to spawn a copy of, even then that's the worst case scenario, right? A point slam. Picture yourself getting a She Who Knows or something like that. That's not super bad. But ideally one of those engines like a Bruver or a Gezras or something crazy like that would be a game changer for sure.
Yeah, like I said, this Terra Nova guy, he's gonna be. I mean, I don't know if you're gonna want to replace him in a ball list. I mean, it would technically make ball very good again, just with him alone. I don't know if you're gonna, want to replace Usurper with him. I don't see it. I think you still want to play Usurper. I think maybe you would probably end up having to drop a Vincent or something to fit him in.
I think that this card might actually let you just go full-blown assimilate, right? Or
you
maybe
maybe
a spy hybrid, so to speak, with your damage engines, and you're putting a lot of spying cards down, giving a lot of spying status. I could see it working there. I'd be really curious to see how we can pan this out. But I think that full-blown assimilate could just use this. Even the old classic portal, and then you drop Terra Nova, and you have kind of those two things going on, in the typical Raymond, Glennis, those types of just strong assimilate engines.
You definitely could, because this guy's, his point ceiling is very high. It's kind of hard to determine what he's going to play for, just because you could literally spawn and play a copy of anything.
Well, what I like about it is, look, deploy a spawn and play a copy of any non-disloyal unit you gave spying to. So it's not technically it's that you gave spying to. So if they purify it, you're still fine, right?
Yeah, I don't know. I guess that kind of mechanic, or
well, it's because we gave
interaction. We'd have to.
Yeah.
Yeah. I guess we could try it. Yeah. I would assume it would work that way. Even if they purified it. It doesn't state that the spying has to stay. Technically, he could play for a ton of points even if you just gave spying to another Brathens. Like Breathens alone is a lot of spying, and it's an assimilate as well, and it'll spawn another assimilate engine.
Well, it spawns, it doesn't play, so you can't play Brathens off it. You would just spawn a Brathens, right?
No, it's a spawn and play.
Spawn and play. Ah.
So you could technically give.
So you're spawning it off this card. You're okay. I missed the play clause. That's huge.
Yeah, like you could technically like playing this off of Brathens would be huge, or even playing it off of an Ivar or whatever. Like the ceiling on this card is insane. Like it could really play for 30, 40 points. We just don't really know because it depends on what you're really spawning and playing.
So this is something you want to play later on, I think. Right? You want to get all your assimilate engines out there first. Again, I think that this will do great against pretty much any other faction. I can't imagine the Nilfgaard Mirror being a lot of fun. Board clog's going to be a serious problem. We have just yet another card making other cards that are going to make other cards. You know what I mean? So it's going to be hectic, to say the least, when it comes to just board management and whatnot. Let's move on to the other gold before we hit the bronzes. We have Furcart, which is a human mage. They're doing lots of mages, it looks like, for even Nilfgaard and going towards the other factions as well. So on deploy, play a special card from your hand and draw a card. Whenever you play a special card, give spying to a random non-spying enemy unit. So whenever means as long as
like
this card, as long as this card lives, or just for the rest of the game?
No, this is an engine.
Okay, so this card has to be in play for the whenever clause to actually work, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
I would assume so, yes.
It doesn't make sense if someone gets rid of it, then...
Yeah.
Okay, so...
I would assume that he has to stick on the board as like an engine. I don't think he's just,
Play a special card from hand, then draw a card. So... That's kind of
You could technically play your coup. You could play your coup from hand, and then you still draw a card as well. He could play your invo. I mean, there's just...
You know what the crazy thing is? Nilfgaard...
You could even play Heatwave.
Nilfgaard does not need any more support when it comes to thinning out the deck. They can
exactly.
They can do it better than anyone else. We have Deadman's Tongue. We have, all of the other changes that they made with the Blight Makers, right? And now you have basically another card that's going to help you thin down to 0.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, this guy could play a Heatwave from hand and give you a draw card. Like, that is huge.
As well, yeah, it's basically like a draw card, play a card. It's like a Dandelion with a little bit of a condition.
It's like a cheaper Dandelion. Yeah, it's like a cheaper Dandelion Poet.
That's faction locked, that could fit into just about anything.
Yep.
It really doesn't matter. Like, this could fit into just anything. And, what's nice about it, too, is that, like, Tactics might actually see some support from this. Because...
Oh, I agree. Like, all these cards are setting up to be like, okay, if we're going to be playing spies, then you're most likely going to want to try to run Enslave.
Yeah. Tactics could see some support because they're playing so many specials.
Yep.
And it even fits into the whole Siri Nova tactics, too, like the mid-range deck. Okay. I'm curious to see how this one goes. I think this is a pretty cool card.
Yeah, I like Furcart a lot.
I don't think they need it, but I think it's a really cool card. Next we have Master of Puppets. Yeah. Order.
The big meme of the entire expansion.
Seize a bronze enemy unit, then move self to the opposite row. Cooldown 2. Cooldown 2.
Where to begin? Yeah, where to begin with this
card?
So
we seize one of their bronze enemy units, and then this card moves...
We'll go to their side.
To their side. What, so then they could just take it back?
Yep.
Cooldown 2,
nice.
So in 2 turns, if this thing's alive, they just snag it right back?
Yeah, I mean, technically, like, let's just say, like... I mean, this card could play for a ton of points as well. Like, yeah, let's just say you steal their Sea Jackal.
Well, you do it at the end. You do it at the end, right?
Yeah. So you don't ever let the cooldown effect mess with you as well.
Or you just hit it with a joust. You literally just put
Yeah.
it on their side and just joust that real quick. But yeah, it takes a Sea Jackal, takes a Banard student, takes a whatever the
You
case may be,
know,
right? A great sword.
yeah, great sword. A Bear Witcher too. I mean, you wouldn't get the effect from the Bear Witcher, but still, you're taking away potential
But here's the thing, like
7 to 8 points from them.
Order Caesar bronze enemy unit. I mean, like we could take the great sword so they can't make copies of it or whatever the case. But realistically,
But see, the thing
it's
with
not
Northern
playing
Realms is
for
they
what's
don't
that?
have a way to give Z. Oh, I'm just saying. The thing with Northern Realms is they don't really have a way to give their cards Zeal right away,
Nilfgaard,
unless
yeah.
you play like Petri Filter or something.
Yeah, Petrie's filter. And we all know how that works. With
Yeah.
yeah, that's still it's kind of a meme. I don't think that this is gonna see a lot of competitive play. I could be mistaken. I think that this is going to be best when you save that one tall bronze. Like if something's boosted, if you're playing like let's say in a mirror match and someone uses the Dead Man's Tongue and they boost the token up to 11, 12 points, maybe that makes sense. If it's a great sword, maybe that makes sense. Again, a Sea Jackal, I could see that, right? They boost it up to 20 odd points. You have a really good return on that. But
Yeah, like he could play for a lot if you're stealing a Sea Jackal that's boosted to high hell.
I just think that you got me on the Northern Realms. Nilfgaard has a lot better cards in the 5 provision range, 5 to 7 range that you could include instead. I'd be curious to see
Oh
if
yeah,
anybody has something that works with this, and I'm sure we'll see. Definitely, if you guys post a deck or two on it in the Discord, but until then,
I think I could also see Master of Puppets working like we were talking about in Slave, right?
mm-hmm.
You could technically, um, I mean, okay, I got something going on in my head. Like you could
Wait a
technically play the
second.
Master of Puppets,
What happens?
steal.
What happens if you just let it go to their side, start making mad copies of it?
Yeah, like I said, yeah, it's a full-on meme. It's meme territory. Like you could
Yeah, you're
technically do
trading all like
imposters.
their good bronzes for our you know?
You could technically play imposter with this card and just seize away, or you could technically throw this with enslave, or throw this in enslave, and then you have hefty hell to just kill it right away once it goes to their side. So you don't ever have to worry about the negative drawback of them taking your card back that you took from them.
100%. I think like what if okay, you put it down, Artorias Vigo, you have the Duchess Informants, you've got the Baratheons, you make a couple copies, if anything gets out of hand, you take it, you kill them all. Definitely memes, but with serious play, I think Enslave makes most sense from where it stands right now.
Yeah.
Next, we have Thanedd Turncoat. So another human
I'm excited for this card.
agent. Let's see. Deploy given enemy unit spying. Okay, that's good for 4 provision. It's kind of like the Witch Hunters give bounty. It's a 4 power, 4 provision, does what you need it to do. Order, conspiracy, damage an enemy unit by 1. Whenever an enemy unit gains spying, reduce this unit's cooldown by 1. Cooldown 2. That seems like it's going to get some value.
Like I said, a lot of people are saying it's not a very good card because it's, the Mage Torturer is just better because it's assimilate and it does what its deployability already does.
That's 5.
I just like the art of
is
this
not?
card.
But the other
Yeah,
one's
it is,
5. Like this frees up a little bit more space. Deploy given enemy unit spying. That's great. Now we have the secondary effect that obviously gets a little bit of damage. Whenever an enemy unit gains spying, reduce the unit's cooldown by 1. So we're playing pretty much a spy every turn. It's tough.
Like she's good, but you would have to find a way to keep her alive.
Wouldn't the enforcers make a bit more sense? Because you could spawn them with Ramon. You have more of them. It's proccing assimilate on your side of the board. You're getting more units. They have a 1 armor hat on them. You're able to make that big swing when you play that aristocrat and put 3 spying on their side of the board, they got a bunch of charges.
Yeah, but like, you know, like we've already established like prior, it's just the enforcers are just really slow. Like most of the time people will answer them right away.
They're
Like
slow. Again, this seems like it's very similar, but again, it's not super fast either, right? It's going to take some time to get its value back. I mean, if you just deploy give spying, that's not really getting your return just yet. You have to get a couple damage pings in there.
But see, what's good about this is, like I said, it is a cheaper version of a mage torturer.
Yeah, yeah.
But it's also setting up carryover because it's also going into consideration with Terra Nova. It's a quick way to just give spying, and even if you don't even get the damage of it off, Terra Nova is already set up for later.
100%. So it could be more or less just like, here's a little tech to ensure that, hey, we got this thing already good to go. Because like the Duchess Informants and all those types of spying units, like they're not giving spying, they're just proccing assimilate and making copies. So to give direct spying is actually a challenge for Nilfgaard, right?
Exactly.
So this is an inexpensive way to do it. So yeah, I could see that being a thing for sure. And this card is just so strong that having something like this in your deck is justified.
Yeah, like I said, she's just a cheaper version of Mage Torture, but you know, Mage Torture does have the assimilate engine, which would help with Terra Nova also, because Terra Nova is also assimilate.
Okay, so in summary, this one's busted. I love this card, and I think that's going to be pretty much in every single deck, if anybody can fit it, really. This card's great. Again, I don't think they need it, but it's super strong. I'm not super fond of this one. I think it has very unique applications that it'll work in, as we discussed. And then this here, it just kind of makes sense, right? Justified by this. So that's pretty cool. I'm not upset with these. I think that the only thing that I'm a little bit worried about is this one. But again, overall, compared to Northern Realms, I'd say it's pretty balanced. Like, this is pretty busted. It has a strong effect, but then again, so does this, and they cost the same, and at least they're marked as 12 provision. If they came out at 10, I'd be upset. Right?
Yeah.
We've seen things like that in the past. So 12, it's pretty good. It's your hero card. It brings the whole deck together, and that's just great for assimilate. Moving on to Qcento, you guys know whenever there's like an expansion, I always do a new Spellitel deck with Gorn and try to make it work, so this is probably going to be no exception. I heard there's going to be a lot of support for the spells and whatnot, so let's get into it here. Simless Fin, Ape, the Bear. I butchered that. So on deploy, play all copies of a bronze special card from your deck. I think you mentioned something briefly about this last time we spoke. So you're able to play every single copy of something from your deck. Well, we know that we can only have 2 bronze specials of the same card. This is probably going to fish for your rebukes, if I'm not mistaken, right?
That is a consideration. We know that with Nature's Gifts, rebukes are in the realm of sometimes worth 7 to 9 points, maybe more, depending on how many symbiosis engines are on the board. But the way I'm starting to see to this card is you're going to want to run this in the Elf Swarm list. Because if you throw this guy down after you have all your Deadeyes on the board, you could technically play double Bone Talismans. Which is pretty crazy, because that's not something you could be able to put off.
It could be any bronze special card. It doesn't have to be a bronze nature card, even.
Yeah.
So that's really
rebukes are good. Rebukes are good, but I just don't think you'd want to bend both your bronze removals to answer 2 of their cards right away. I mean, yeah, it's technically a 12 for 12. That's not bad, but...
Talisman's nice. Now, the problem with elves is that the deck's already, like, very polarized, right? They have lots of, like, very inexpensive cards, and you have to somehow survive around with that, and then you have all these, like, really top-heavy plays. So this is no exception to that, right? It's just a really heavy play. So do you think that maybe you use it on a different round than scenario? Or do you think you just try and save it to the end? Because what I'm thinking is if you have...
I think you're going to want to combine this with for Nasiol,
And just make it the
you
whole
know,
thing with leader and whatever spawns
yeah,
off. Okay.
that's
They
a
did,
lot of points.
yeah, and they did get a little bit of support with being able to spawn additional Deadeyes from that card. What's that card's name? The one that whenever you play a waylay, spawn a Deadeye.
Oh, Vanadane. Yeah, like I said,
Yeah,
Vanadane may also get a play now because of this card.
exactly. It
I
really helps
believe
just
I
kind of fill it
saw.
up.
I believe I saw a post. I don't know if it was. I mean, like I said, it probably was a meme, but the fact that he pulled it off in the video, from what I watched, is he made like 7 or 8 copies of Waylay,
Oh wow.
2 from Siana, 2 from Vanadane, and then he did some kind of thing. I can't remember what he did, where he was able to play more, and yeah, and like he was. Oh yeah, 1 from Protector, and then 1 or 2 from Sorceress as well. That's how he did it. And if
Wow.
you have all of these, being created, then yeah, Simloss is pretty busted.
What I like about this card. Now, I think it's a little bit more conditional than, let's say, the other 2 hero cards that we saw. But I think if any faction can do it, it's definitely this one. Now, it could also. I mean, it also just kind of brings like more of an ethical elves to the table. We can go back to just a classic swarm versus all the traps and the degeneracy that we saw in the last couple seasons, right? Because now there's actually points besides denying points, and it might actually just be able to compete. I like that. So besides
Yeah,
Elf
like
Swarm, what do you think we can see this in? Potentially like a Gord deck. We know we're going to probably see it there. We know that's probably
yeah,
going to
we'll
be one of the
definitely
first
see
things that
this.
people try.
I think I see this replacing Ethne, 100%. This is the higher ceiling than Ethne ever will have. Even just because it is a deploy effect, but also because it is giving your Gord 2 extra points.
Yeah, so
I mean, like I said,
here's the thing. Ethne is
like I
great
said,
in the way that if you're running Devotion, Ethne has 3 Symbiosis, units that it's putting out, right? Ethne herself and the 2 tokens, and that's adding tons of points for every single treant that spawns. The problem with it, though, is when every single matchup is either Siege or, Nilfgaard or Syndicate, right? They all have very good answers to it. Nilfgaard being Yenvo, right? Just taking it and replaying it. It's so much points for them. We have Syndicate that just uses Horson or Tunnel Drill or Horson's Freak Show, right? There's so many ways to just remove that instantly, so we don't see any value from it whatsoever. And then you have, what was the one I said? Oh, yeah, Siege, right? Having all these orders and charges built up, and then as soon as we play it, they just go and just hammer it down, right? Whereas this one here, I think a lot of the value just comes from the fact that it's on deploy, so we can get the points right now. And if they want to get rid of this card, then so be it, right? It's just 2 points on the board. It served its purpose. So that's kind of what I'm most excited about. And I think that with sort of this type of support, we might be seeing the biggest Gord that we've ever seen, right?
Oh yeah, like I think with this upcoming, patch or expansion, we're probably going to see in the normal territory, Gord will be probably worth 22, 23 points. That's just average.
That's wild.
I would assume. Yeah. I'll take a 22, 23 point Gord for 7 provisions. Sounds good to me.
100%. And let's move on to the next gold one here. I don't know how we're saying this, but Solve Ain.
So our very own. Yeah,
can you say it?
our very own. Yeah, our very own Gabby Diggs. She's also on Team Legacy. She got the honor to reveal this card, and I got to see it early. Spoilers. I got to see it early, and we figured out how it works. We were able to talk to Maligian directly to figure out how does this card work, and the way it's pronounced is Salve in Modine.
There you go. You have it here first.
Yeah. Boost an allied unit by 6. At the end of your turn, if this card is in your graveyard, transform itself into Salve MOD Unity. Which is basically, while in your graveyard, remove a counter when you play a special card. When the counter reaches 0, summon itself from your graveyard to your range 0. So it's like a 6-point card plus a 3-point body, so it's 9 for 9 already. And then once you play 3 specials, it summons itself to your range draw, so it's technically a 12 for 9. It's almost like a Hubert slash Redanian mix in a sense. And what the big thing that we confirmed with Malegion is it actually has a possibility of coming back in round 3 again.
Would you say that this would be a replacement to the other Echo
Shaping
card
Nature?
solution that they have right now, or would you say that it would just replace something else? Where do you think that this would fit?
I could see it replacing Shaping Nature, just because we all know Shaping Nature can be very slow. Seeing as how, if we don't draw it, then it's just going to be, its value right off the bat. And the fact that it wouldn't really clog our deck, because, we don't really actually get to thin, or we miss out our mulligans with the Echo cards.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. I think I see this as a better card, just because it does have carryover. It has, tempo potential. That extra 3 points sometimes with the Redanian for Syndicate is really nice to have.
Exactly. Redanian, yeah. I'm thinking, like, with this here being a spell card, and just kind of peeping down to the next card we're going to be looking at being a spell card as well, there's a little bit more focus on maybe not necessarily being devotion, right, with this list, and being able to play sort of a non-devotion style, and maybe not having to use like Fav as an auto include in your deck to have that pulling into a nature card. I'd be curious to see kind of what we can do as far as just like trying it all without natures. I don't know if it'd be better. We'd have to see kind of how it pans out.
I could definitely, just like I said, going into meme territory, I could see this Scoia'tael or Spellitael list running with an Ulzer, if you really want to go that route with all these spells that they're adding now.
Someone will do it. If there's a will, there's a way.
Someone will try it.
Yep.
Yeah, someone will try it. They will definitely try the Ulzer.
Let's check out the bronzes. We have a rare
Orb of Insight.
Yep.
Orb of Insight is also another reveal from Team Legacy, Max and Mel.
There you go. We're getting all the card reveals.
Yeah, Team Legacy. We're getting all the exposure.
Now, all I need is my own card reveal. Guys, we made...
Right? I mean, hey,
we're going on
close.
50...
You were close.
We're going on 50 YouTube videos, guys. Hopefully, by the next expansion, I can get a card reveal. Be awesome. So,
I tried to tell him I tried to tell Q in his DMs. I was like, dude, go hop on now. Go sign in on the Discord. You're in the list for the card reveal picks. But I don't think he was able to see it in time. Well, he was on that list.
I don't think I have a choice, right? It's like a draw?
No. You actually signed up, and then they picked your name at random.
Oh, they picked me.
Yeah, they picked you, but you weren't selected in the lottery for the card reveals.
Okay. So I made it past the preliminary stage, but I didn't make it to the finals.
Yeah. Like, from where they showed you, I think you were number 38 out of the partners that they picked. I think they picked like 45 partners. And, obviously they only gave it to 24 people. But they picked 37 and 39. I was like, oh my god, they actually skipped over him twice.
It feels bad. One of these days we'll get it, guys. We know how it is. Eventually we'll draw the right card. So we have Orb of Insight. Boost an ally unit by 2 and give it Vitality of 2. While in your graveyard, remove the counter by 1 whenever you play a special card. When the counter reaches 0, play this card and give it Doomed counter 3. So you're recycling this card.
Yeah, it's just like a special or spell version of, a bronze Shaping Nature in a sense. Except its ceiling is much lower. It's 4 for 6. It could technically be 8 for 6.
You know what it kind of reminds me of?
If you're putting this on a Hamadryad.
Yeah, it kind of reminds me of like a safer Francesca.
Yeah, also too, yeah.
Because we got a counter of 3, right? Now, obviously, Francesca, when it works, it's busted. but it often sees the heat wave. I mean, that's kind of like one of the reasons why you play it, right? If you're running like, if Francesca gets heat waved, you still have points, but again, it sucks to see it. Now this, we're getting at least the passive effect. Maybe you give vitality to like a Hamadryad or something. You're also getting a boost by 2. And then while in Graveyard, right, we have that extra effect of bringing this card back. It's just adding more specials to the game.
Yeah, so so we're in the like we agreed on earlier, we are definitely gonna see that in the territory of 20-25 point boards easily.
Now, because of this card's cost, I think they did this right. They made it kind of awkward. So with 6 provision, I don't know if you're running 2 of them. I think you would just have to run 1.
Yeah, I don't see you running 2 of these cards.
Because Qcento's got so many good cards that, would just work well with this sort of archetype that they don't necessarily need 2 of these. Especially because we're struggling to find units at this point, right? There's so many good specials we want to include that we have to find those 13 minimum units to make the deck work. So, again, 1 and done, I think. We have Alvin Seer being the last card we're going to be talking about today. We're going to be doing a part 2 with sort of the remaining 3 factions and neutrals, because there's only, I think, 2 cards that they're revealing that are neutral this time around. So let's get to it here. Alvin Seer, when you target this card with a bronze special card, spawn and play a copy of that special card, counter 1.
Yeah.
That's scary.
Yeah. This card is...
That is scary.
It can be busted.
I see a whole thing going on with the sorceresses. This is kind of like
Whispers. And this.
Yeah, the sorceresses, Whisperers, the Seers, oh my gosh. So I think Whisperers are great. It's like a budget ethereal if you think about it, or whatever the case may be, right? You know what I'm trying to say. Just spawning 3 per turn is pretty easy to do because we have so many specials, but in this case we're targeting it. We could target it with this. There's one, right? You could target it with
Dryad's
Shaping
Caress.
Nature. You could target it with Dryad's Caress. You could target it with I don't see why you'd want to use Tempering, but it could be an option. And all you gotta do is target
it has to be a bronze special card, so it wouldn't be Shaping Nature.
Oh yeah, it has to be bronze. We read bronze.
So yeah, it'd be Tempering, Dryad's Caress.
Bronze. Okay, that's a big thing we need to take into consideration here. So bronze, anything.
It would be Orb of Insight.
Yeah.
If we're going the non-devotion route, we have Pax, we have Swallow, right? There's so many different ones.
Yeah, there's a lot of cards. It's not just Qcento related. Yeah, it could really be anything. Could be Pax, like you said. It could be Swallows, Adrenaline Rush as well.
Wait. We're missing the obvious one. Bronze special card. Elf.
Yeah.
Elf. Bone Talisman.
Yeah, they're all that. Yeah, but the thing is, though, you're not targeting it. It has to be targeted. Bone Talisman just targets every unit.
Ah.
Yeah.
Why are they getting me all excited for nothing?
Imagine though, right?
The possibilities, man. Yeah.
Even if there were a possibility,
I'm glad. Okay, I'm it sucks when we're thinking about it that's how it has to be, but it's probably good for the game that this is how it is. Otherwise, it would just be kind of busted.
Yeah, I don't think there's a card in the game, to my knowledge, that lets you shuffle bronze specials back into your deck. Because if there was, Simloss would be like a 40-point card with Bone Talismans.
Yeah, that would be messed up. That's what we have here. So overall thoughts, I'm actually most excited for Qcento, believe it or not. I love playing this type of play. Second to that, I like this. I like the Assimilate and everything that's kind of going on with that. I'd be curious to play it. It feels a little bit more ethical. It feels a little bit more, just fun to play than clogging up their stuff. We actually have a strategy of our own besides just messing up their strategy, which is kind of nice. And Northern Realms, I like this. I'm not like wowed by a lot of the other support that they had. However, I feel like they recently got so many good cards that, you know, this will complement them, and they don't necessarily need a lot more. So I think that, you know, all factions, at least all the three that we saw, should see some play. What do you think?
Oh yeah, like I mean, we're definitely going to see play from Nilfgaard and Qcento for sure. People are going to want to try every faction day one. From what, like I said, I will not go anything from beyond what we talked about. I probably will assume that we will see Nilfgaard heavily day one, because people have been wanting a spy archetype to be viable again.
From time, and if Nilfgaard does anything right, it's playing your cards better than you do. So
Yep.
That's going to be annoying. As good as these strategies seem, it doesn't matter when we have Assimilate, right? Because we could just play it right back. So I'm curious to see how it's going to go. We'll get to the next factions. I did pre-click a little, and I saw that, you know, there was a couple empty slots over here with Syndicate. So with that being said, we're going to be doing a part 2, I guess, after the weekend, right before the expansion, to kind of give our 2 cents on the rest of the factions. And then when the expansion drops, you know that I'm going to be coming up with my ideas as quick as possible to get you guys those nice deck guides to help you get back into the pro rank for the new season. So look out for that as well. Did you have anything else you wanted to add?
I mean, like I said, I just can't wait for Tuesday.
This guy's gonna
It's gonna be.
he's gonna be up at 6 in the morning on the computer,
I'm gonna
energized.
I'm gonna set my alarm to like 4 or 5 in the morning. Hopefully the patches drop by then. I don't even care if I got work. I will wake up early to play this expansion early, because I do not want to be stuck at work while everybody else gets to play it.
I've been collecting scraps. I've got 120k.
Yeah, I'm ready to burn all of that as well. I got, I think around 30k scraps and 10,000 ore. So
Well, this isn't that bad, assuming that like there's 2 cards worth 800 each. I think that these are probably gonna be 200.
yeah.
So I'm thinking per faction, guys, it's probably gonna be around 1,500 scraps. Let's just round it up.
1,000.
Probably like 1,250 scraps for each faction. Like, you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
to get it all, I think you're able to get the whole new expansion for somewhere around 8k scraps. So we'll see you guys in a couple days for the rest of the factions here. Let us know what you think in the comments. Be nice to have a chat about it. What are you looking most forward to? What faction do you want to try first? And what decks do you want to see me make first? Until next time, it was fun. See you guys soon.